Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will dive deep into the explosive, bold, and the beautiful spoilers for April 13th through the 24th, covering the massive fallout of Ivy's lies, the violent CEO office brawl between RJ and Will, Brooke and Katie's bitter sister feud, and Sheila's creepy new psychological warfare against Deacon and Taylor. And let me just start by saying I am absolutely exhausted just looking at my notes for these next 2 weeks because the drama is literally nonstop. And I feel like I have been typing furiously for hours trying to make sense of all these overlapping storylines. So we have to kick things off with Daphne Rose Walton. Because this girl is going through it right now. And I honestly feel so bad for her. We all know she just got that devastating negative pregnancy test. And she is reeling from the grief of that. But instead of just wallowing in her sadness, she is channeling all of that raw emotional pain into absolute righteous fury. And she is pointing all of that fury directly at Ivy Forrester. Because Daphne is just sick and tired of the lies. When you are going through a real-life personal tragedy like facing potential infertility, you just do not have the patience for high school level drama and manipulative scheming. So Daphne corners Ivy, and she absolutely demands that Ivy needs to confess everything to Electra Forrester. She tells her that this whole twisted game of playing puppet master with Electra and Will Spencer's love life has to end right now. But of course, Ivy, being Ivy, just stubbornly refuses to back down. And I just sit here screaming at my screen. Because Ivy is so incredibly delusional at this point. She actually reiterates to Daphne that she needs to stay silent about the breakup scheme. Ivy is so paranoid. And desperate to lock in Electra's future with RJ Forrester, she cannot see how toxic her actions are. She thinks she is protecting her niece, but she is really just treating her like a chess piece. And Ivy's also super paranoid about Melissa Dillon getting in the way, which is just peak projection if you ask me. Ivy thinks she can just order Daphne around like an employee. But Daphne is a grown woman dealing with her own heavy issues. And Daphne is not going to just sit there and take it. So Daphne ultimately realizes she cannot get through to this brick wall of a woman. And she goes to ask Carter Walton for some guidance. And I love this for them. Carter is such a solid rock for Daphne right now. They are dealing with their own heartbreak over the baby news. Or lack thereof. But they are leaning on each other. I think Daphne is going to tell Carter everything about Ivy's insane plot. With the stolen letter and the manipulated breakup. And Carter, being the moral compass that he usually is, will probably tell Daphne that the truth always comes out eventually in Los Angeles. And that she should not carry the burden of Ivy's dirty secrets. I mean, why should Daphne stress herself out over Ivy's mess when she needs to focus on her own health and her own marriage right now? Carter is a lawyer. He knows how these things blow up. He knows that keeping secrets at Forrester Creations is basically a ticking time bomb. So he is going to guide his wife to do the right thing, because that is just who Carter is. But while Daphne is agonizing over whether to blow the whistle, the tension is just skyrocketing between Will Spencer and RJ Forrester. And guys, it finally explodes in the most spectacular and messy way possible. The spoilers say that RJ and Will are going to pummel each other right in the middle of the Forrester CEO office. And I am just picturing this scene, and it is so wild to me. You have these two privileged legacy kids throwing literal punches and destroying expensive office furniture over a girl and their own inflated egos. RJ has been pushing Will's buttons for weeks now, acting so smug and arrogant, because he thinks he has Electra all wrapped up, and Will, who already has a volatile temper, just completely snaps. So they're in the CEO office throwing hands. Papers are probably flying everywhere. Someone is definitely getting shoved into a desk. It is just total chaos and completely unprofessional. And honestly, I think RJ deserves to get clocked a few times for how smug he has been acting. But Will is also being an idiot by letting RJ provoke him into physical violence at work. Like, do these guys not realize they are in a corporate building? But I guess when you are a Forrester or a Spencer, you think the normal rules of HR do not apply to you. You just punch first and ask questions later. It is so ridiculous. But it makes for great television. I just wonder who is going to get the worst end of the beating. Because Will seems like he has a lot of pent-up rage, and RJ is more of a pretty boy designer. But RJ has been working out, so who knows. And then in walks Ridge Forrester. Oh man, I would pay good money to see the look on Ridge's face when he opens the door. and sees his son and Bill Spencer's son brawling like alley cats in his pristine office. Ridge is going to be deeply disappointed and, frankly, furious. The spoilers make it clear that Ridge will intervene and shut this nonsense down immediately. He is going to dish out some severe lectures and make it crystal clear that personal issues need to be left at the door. Ridge has spent his whole life trying to build this fashion empire. He respects the legacy of his father, Eric Forrester, and he is not going to let these two hotheads turn it into a frat house. Ridge will probably threaten to fire both of them if they do not get their acts together, because you cannot just have executives punching each other in the face near the fabric samples. It is a bad look for the company. But here is the really interesting part of this whole fight aftermath. RJ will eventually confess the real reason for his issues with Will, and the spoilers tease that it seems like this is about way more than just an Electra feud. So what is RJ hiding? Is there some deep-seated resentment here that goes back to their childhoods? Does RJ feel threatened by the Spencer legacy? Or is there some other secret that RJ is harboring that makes him hate Will so much? I am honestly racking my brain trying to figure out what this hidden motive could be. Because if it is not just about Electra, then RJ has been playing a much deeper game this whole time. Maybe it has something to do with their fathers. Ridge and Bill have hated each other for decades. So maybe that generational trauma is just passing down to the sons. Or maybe RJ knows something about Will that we do not know yet. It is a huge mystery. And I cannot wait to see RJ spill the beans. And of course, word of this massive brawl is going to get back to Electra. And she is not going to be flattered that two guys are fighting over her. She is actually going to be disgusted. Electra will lay down the law with Will and perhaps push him to stop fighting with RJ, or else she is going to give him a strict ultimatum. I think Electra is starting to see the toxic masculinity radiating from both of these guys. And she is not here for it. She wants to focus on her jewelry line and her career. And she does not need this kind of embarrassing drama dragging her down at Forrester Creations. Electra is an independent woman. She does not need knights in shining armor beating each other up to prove their love. She is going to look at Will with his bruised face and tell him to grow up. And honestly, good for her. Somebody needs to put these boys in their place. Meanwhile, across town, we have another massive feud erupting. And this one is between the Logan sisters. Brooke Logan Forrester is absolutely fuming over Katie Logan Spencer's recent business decisions. And she is going to lash out in a major way. It seems this is all connected to Katie's next fashion event with Bill Spencer, and her decision to use even more of Eric Forrester's designs for her collection, and Brooke is just losing her mind over this. She is disgusted by Katie's choices, and is accusing her of being heartless, and letting personal sibling issues affect the way she does business. But let us be real here for a second. Brooke is projecting so hard it is practically blinding. Brooke is the one who always makes everything personal. She cannot stand the fact that Katie is stepping out of her shadow and doing something successful with Bill. Brooke thinks she is the supreme protector of Eric's legacy. But Katie has every right to use those designs if she has the legal clearance. Katie is finally standing on her own 2 feet and building something massive, and Brooke is just eaten up with jealousy. Brooke has always been the star of the Logan family, the face of the company, the one everyone pays attention to. So seeing Katie get the spotlight with Bill's money backing her up is just driving Brooke insane. She is using the Eric designs as an excuse to attack Katie. But it is really just about control, and Katie is not backing down this time. The spoilers say Katie will blast Brooke for thinking the world revolves around her, and will make it clear that not everything is about her older sister. And I am cheering for Katie so loud right now. For decades, Katie has had to play second fiddle to Brooke. She has had to watch Brooke steal her men and demand all the attention, but not anymore. Katie is empowered and defiant, and she is firmly separating her business ambitions from Brooke's emotional manipulations. This showdown is going to be deeply personal and incredibly nasty, and I am here for every single second of it. Katie is basically telling Brooke to get over herself, which is something Brooke has needed to hear for about 30 years. I just hope Katie stays strong and does not let Brooke guilt trip her into canceling the fashion event, because Katie deserves this win. So while Brooke is failing to control her sister, she decides to meddle in her son's life instead. Brooke will give RJ a nudge to trust his heart regarding Electra. Because Brooke always thinks love conquers all, even when that love is built on lies and manipulation. Brooke sees RJ hurting after the fight, and she wants him to get the girl, because that is the Logan way. You just keep pushing until you get what you want. And then Ivy is going to use her alliance with RJ to her advantage. Ivy sees that RJ has Brooke's backing, and she is going to try to leverage that to secure Electra's future. Ivy is playing such a dangerous game. She is aligning herself with RJ and Brooke to freeze Will out, but she is running out of time before it all blows up in her face. Ivy thinks she is a master manipulator, but she is leaving a trail of breadcrumbs a mile wide. And that explosion is coming very soon, because the guilt is finally getting to the people who know the truth. Next week, Melissa Dillon is going to make a crushing choice. The guilt of sitting on Ivy's secret is eating her alive. She has been growing closer to Will, and she knows that his whole life was derailed by a lie. So the guilt may finally drive Melissa to confess to Will about Ivy's manipulation. She is going to tell him that Ivy orchestrated the whole breakup, and that Electra never actually wanted to leave him. Can you imagine Will's reaction to this? He just got into a physical fight with RJ over Electra. And now he is going to find out that his entire heartbreak was manufactured by a meddling aunt. Will is going to be absolutely furious, and Melissa is taking a huge risk by telling him, because Will might turn his anger on her for hiding the truth for so long. But Melissa knows she has to clear her conscience. She cannot build a real relationship with Will if it is founded on this massive deception. So she is going to bite the bullet, and she is going to drop this nuclear bomb on Will's life. I just hope Will does not completely destroy Melissa in his rage, because she is just a pawn in Ivy's sick game. But Will is not known for his rational thinking when he is angry. And Melissa is not the only one spilling the beans. Daphne feels incredibly guilty about withholding information as well. After talking to Carter, Daphne decides she cannot keep Ivy's secret anymore. So Daphne may finally fill Electra in on the truth about Ivy setting her split from Will in motion. Daphne is going to sit Electra down and tell her that her own aunt has been playing God with her life. Daphne is going to explain how Ivy manipulated the situation, how she pushed them apart, and how she has been actively trying to force Electra into RJ's arms without her consent. Electra is going to be completely blindsided by this. She has trusted Ivy implicitly. They are family and business partners. To find out that Ivy destroyed her relationship with Will on purpose is going to shatter Electra's entire world. Electra will eventually push Ivy for answers about the infamous letter. She is going to confront her aunt and demand to know the truth. And she will finally get confirmation that Ivy swiped that letter to destroy her relationship with Will. This confrontation is going to be epic. Both Will and Electra will have a chance to put Ivy on full blast. All of Ivy's plotting will finally catch up with her, and she is going to have to face the music. Will is going to scream at her for stealing months of his life, and Electra is going to scream at her for the ultimate betrayal of trust. Ivy thought she was so smart, but now she is completely surrounded by the people she hurt. She is going to try to justify it. She will probably say she did it to protect Electra, because Will is a Spencer, and Spencers break hearts, but Electra is not going to buy that garbage. She is a grown woman, and she makes her own choices. Ivy crossed a massive line, and there is no going back from this. And the fallout from this blow-up is going to be massive during the week of April 20th through the 24th. B&B fans will see the absolute destruction of Ivy's life in Los Angeles. Will Electra convince Steffi Forster Finnegan to boot Ivy out of the company over her actions? I mean, Steffi does not tolerate people who cause this much drama and liability at Forster Creations. If Electra goes to Steffi and explains how Ivy has been manipulating employees and causing physical fights in the CEO office, Steffi might just fire Ivy on the spot. Steffi hates when personal drama interferes with business, and Ivy has basically turned the design room into a war zone. So Steffi is going to have zero patience for this. Regardless of what Steffi does, Electra may completely disown Ivy. The spoilers say Electra will make it clear that their jewelry partnership is over too. Electra is severing all ties. She cannot work with someone who would betray her so deeply. Ivy's entire reason for being in LA was this jewelry line with her niece. And now she has lost it all because she could not mind her own business. It is a classic soap opera downfall, and it is so satisfying to watch. Ivy came back to town acting like she owned the place, strutting around and telling everyone what to do. And now she is going to be left with nothing. No business partner, no niece, and probably no job. It is karma in its purest form. But then Will and Electra will have to decide how they feel about each other once they know the whole truth. Their relationship was destroyed by a lie. But a lot has happened since then. RJ is in the picture now. Will has been getting close to Melissa. Can they just pick up where they left off? Or is the damage too deep to repair? They are going to have some very difficult conversations about whether their relationship can be salvaged, or if they are just too different now. I honestly do not know if they belong together anymore. But they at least deserve the chance to make that choice for themselves without Ivy interfering. Will is going to have to forgive Electra for moving on so fast. And Electra is going to have to figure out if she really loves Will or if she was just comfortable with him. It is going to be a messy, emotional roller coaster for these two, and I am here for the angst. Now let us shift gears and talk about the older generation, because things are getting incredibly creepy over there. During the week of April 20th through the 24th, Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes are finally going to enjoy the chance to freely date each other. They have gone public with their romance. The secret is out. They have faced the wrath of Ridge and Steffi, and they are still standing, so they are going to go on dates and be a normal couple. They will probably go to Il Giardino and eat pasta and hold hands in the open and just try to enjoy this new chapter of their lives. But they will not realize that Sheila Carter is hanging around in the shadows, and no doubt has more tricks up her sleeve. And this is where the vlogger in me just wants to scream at the screen. How can Deacon and Taylor be so naive? They know who Sheila is. They know her history. But because Sheila showed a tiny bit of restraint and walked away without stabbing Taylor, they suddenly think they are safe. It is so frustrating to watch these smart characters act so dumb. You do not just turn your back on Sheila Carter. That is rule number 1 of living in Los Angeles. But Deacon is so blinded by his love for Taylor that he thinks he has managed to tame the beast. And Taylor is a world-renowned psychiatrist. She should know better than anyone that sociopaths do not just give up and walk away peacefully. The spoilers say Sheila may stick with her promise not to hurt anyone, at least not physically. She told Deacon she would not risk going back to prison, and surprisingly she seems to be keeping that promise, but that does not mean Sheila will not scheme. She is going to try to show Deacon that his love for Taylor is not as strong as he thinks. Sheila is shifting her tactics from physical violence to deep psychological warfare. She wants to break them apart from the inside. And honestly, I think this version of Sheila is way more terrifying. When she is waving a pizza cutter around, you know exactly what the threat is. You can call the cops. But when she is lurking in the shadows, playing mind games, and manipulating situations from afar, you never know when the other shoe is going to drop. Sheila is going to try to drive a wedge between Deacon and Taylor. She might try to expose Taylor's insecurities, or set up situations where Deacon looks bad. She wants Deacon to realize on his own that Taylor is not the right woman for him. Sheila is going to play the long game. She will probably try to make Taylor look crazy, or make Deacon feel suffocated by Taylor's high society lifestyle. Sheila knows Deacon's weaknesses better than anyone, and she is going to exploit every single one of them. But there is also this whole mystery stalker element. Someone is watching Deacon and Taylor. Everyone assumes it is Sheila, because of course it is usually Sheila. But what if it is not? What if Sheila is actually telling the truth, and she is just laying low while someone else entirely is stalking them? Could it be a new villain? Could it be someone from Taylor's past? The show is really keeping us guessing here, and it makes the whole storyline so much more suspenseful. I mean, what if it is someone connected to Ridge? Or what if it is just a completely random person trying to frame Sheila? That would be a wild twist. But for now, my money is still on Sheila being the mastermind, even if she is getting someone else to do her dirty work. Steffi is still in full panic mode, of course. She's ordering extra security and probably banning Deacon from the Cliff House. She refuses to believe that Sheila has changed. And then you have Finn, who is actually recognizing that his mom showed restraint. This is going to cause a huge rift in Steffi and Finn's marriage, because Finn is looking for the good in Sheila, while Steffi only sees the monster. I feel like we have been down this road before with Shin, but the stakes feel higher this time, because Taylor's life is directly involved. Steffi is not going to tolerate Finn defending Sheila when Taylor is the target. So this could really push their marriage to the breaking point. And what about Ridge? Ridge just found out his ex-wife is dating the man who slept with Brooke and fathered Hope. Ridge's head must be spinning. He is already dealing with RJ and Will fighting in his office, and now he has to worry about Taylor dating a guy who is legally married to a psychopath. Ridge is going to be dishing out lectures left and right. He is going to tell Taylor she is making a huge mistake. But Taylor is not going to listen to him. She is tired of Ridge dictating her life, and she is going to stand by Deacon, which is just going to make Ridge even more angry. So as we head into May sweeps, the canvas is just primed for absolute chaos. We have the Logan sister feud reaching boiling point, with Brooke and Katie screaming at each other over Eric's designs. We have the kid quad completely imploding with Ivy's exposure. The physical fights, the stolen letters, the massive betrayals. We have a violent rivalry between RJ and Will that is only going to get worse now that RJ has confessed his secret motive. And we have Sheila Carter playing a terrifying game of psychological chess with Deacon and Taylor, while Steffi and Finn's marriage hangs in the balance. I am going to be glued to my screen for every single episode, and I will be right back here to break it all down for you guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments if you think Will and Electra will get back together, or if RJ is going to win in the end. And seriously, what do you think RJ's secret reason for hating Will actually is? I need theories, guys, because I am stumped. Alright, I am going to go rest my hands from all this typing and probably drink another coffee. See you in the next video.